Tell you what, I didn't know if this is the first day of practice or playoffs or what, but I don't have very much to say. Anybody want to open up to questions or?
What have you heard about Jonas's injury?
It's a muscle strain. It's a strain in his muscle. He was here Saturday morning shooting with Scott Roth, and he went up to go into a shot, and he felt something pop. And your first thought is it's an Achilles tendon, but it wasn't. It was a strain. I'm not going to get into medical terms, but it's something he may be. I don't know what the timetable is going to be, but it's not serious. It's not season ending or anything like that, but just a strain.
You guys had another player who's bedeviled by a calf strain last year. Is there any way to compare it? Or
yeah, difference was Andreas was a muscle, and this was I want to use the word tendon, and I want to be correct on that, but it's more of a tendon that doesn't really have a function in the body. So I don't want to get into medical terms, but that's the way I understood through talking to or reading the emails between the doctors and Scott and Alex. So they're probably better prepared terminology-wise to give you those terms, but we can talk to you about that.
The boots to speed things up, the walking boots?
Yeah, that was precautionary because at that time I don't think they knew what it was. And I think when the internet had the picture of his boot, they didn't know what it was. So to take, not to take chances, they put a boot on it.
How important is it for, especially a rookie, to be with you for the entirety of training camp?
Huge. It's really important, especially for JV, because there's so much to learn as far as the nuances of the NBA, and we don't want him to miss, any workouts just because of the terminology, the speed of the game, and there's just so much to learn. And hopefully he won't miss as much time. They said they're not going to put a timetable on it. He's moving much better today, so it's not something I don't think is going to keep him out for a long period of time.
Serious or not, is it tough to see something like this so early in the process of the season after all the bad luck a year ago?
It scared me because I was at the NBA coaches meeting in Chicago, and I get this email that he heard something pop, and so I didn't know at the time. So I'm in Chicago and don't know what it is, and it scared me really. It concerned me, but after hearing what the doctor's diagnosis were, I'm less concerned now than I was when I first heard it.
You've seen this team scrimmage for a few days now. Do you have any sense of what this team's personality is going to be compared to last year?
No, I'm going to withhold comment until we get started for real, because some of it is good and some of it is not so good. I like the pieces that we have so far, and just watching them in individual workouts, and they're going up and down, scrimmaging and playing pickup games. So there's a lot of things we're not going to allow to happen once we go 5-on-5. But I like the spirit, I like the camaraderie, and the guys voluntarily coming back and getting together and playing this way is unbelievable. And I like that togetherness that they have. But as far as the quality of play and the personality of the team, I'm withhold judgment on that until we go through training camp.
What's it going to be to have such a competitive camp? You seem to have competition at almost every position.
Doug, that's a good point. We're going to have competition at every position. There's not going to be one position where a guy's going to come in and say, hey, I've got my spot, my minutes tied down. And it's kind of the way you want it. It's going to be a competitive camp from that standpoint. But at some point, we're going to have a first unit and second unit. And we will do that and make a decision on that. I'll make that decision. But I like that competition because it's just going to raise everybody's intensity level to another level.
Do you need to make that decision sooner rather than later to get guys going?
Yeah, probably, before the Halifax is over with. We'll have a good feel of where we are, who we want to have. And it may not be it's not going to be so to the point where a guy's going to clearly beat out another guy. We're just going to have balance between our first unit and second unit, both offensively and defensively. So that's something we'll do as a staff to make sure we have that balance, which we did not have last year.
Speaking of which, were you worried at all about Jose coming in, that he kept hearing reports that he's a little unhappy the way things turned out?
Not at all. I have no concern with that whatsoever because, in any team in this league, there's going to be competition. And we've got to do everything. We owe it to our organization, to our fans, to bring in as many good players as we can to our team. And if that is competition at that position, so be it. It's just going to make us better. And whatever you can do as a professional to help our team. And Jose's one of the best. I mean, I know there was a lot of rumblings around and all that, but I expect nothing, whether he's a starter or coming off the bench, no rumblings whatsoever, because his heart's in the right place and he's going to do the right thing for this team and for this organization.
As a coach, you see him and Kyle coexisting well as a
Possibly. That's a good, last year I watched a lot of tape on Houston, and Cal and also Dragic played a lot of minutes together and coexisted very well together. So that's going to be something that we'll look at in training camp, because there are two of our best players, not only just point guards, but two of our best players. And I think it's up to us to make sure we know and put them on the court, find out what situations we can put them on the court together.
Do you see him staying on the team? Or?
I have no other thoughts otherwise. I like Jose. I respect Jose. He's done a lot for our program, and I don't expect any point guard controversy or whatsoever. My thing is about winning. Whatever we can do to help our team win. You're not going to have 100% happiness by no means, and I don't expect that, but that's not going to affect my decision as a coach, and it's not going to affect the way we approach our team as an organization. So, I'm not going into it looking for a fight.
Coach, it could be argued that his best year might have been when he was a backup, still playing almost starter type minutes, but a backup, and he had that 1-2 punch here when TJ Ford was here. Right,
and you can look at it that way, but again, we're going to go in with an open mind. And again, finding the balance, Eric, between the first unit and second unit. We may find that he is more valuable as a starter, but we also may find that he may be better coming off the bench and giving us offense with the second unit, and give us that punch. And that's what we need. We got to have punch with that second unit and not lose. Because if you look at our first unit, our numbers were close. And then when we went to our second unit, there was a drop-off, and that's what we're fighting to stop.
From what little you've seen, is Kyle a bit of a different personality for this team?
Yeah, Kyle is he's an alpha dog. He's a leader. He plays like a pit bull, and a different type of player than Jose, different type of point guard, and we need that. We need that type of toughness, that approach that he brings to the table. And again, that doesn't demean Jose's approach or his style of play whatsoever, because, again, I think both we can have them coexist quite a bit on the court together. Okay.
Last year you mentioned a number of times you wanted shooters. Mm-hmm. Did you get enough shooters this offseason?
Well, I think we did. Cal's an excellent shooter. I think he shot 39% in the shortened season last year. Landry Fields last year had a blip on the radar. Bad season last year, which you could blame on a lot of different things, but I think he is a natural shooter. Just watch him in drills. John Lucas is one of our best three-point shooters in drills. So in his individual work. So I felt like we've added more shooters and more than we had last year.
Is John, like historically, he's been a scorer. Is he more like a small shooting guard than a true point guard?
He is. He's more of a 2-1 than he is a 1-2, but he is one of our best three-point shooters. He's one of those guys that knows how to play. He's been through the wars, and I think he's going to be a pleasant surprise. We talk about Kyle and Jose, but I do know that John's going to make a case for himself. It's going to be hard to keep him off the court, and in talking to some coaches from Chicago, they made the same thing. It was hard to keep him off the floor.
What did you learn about Terrence through the summer league that you didn't know?
Defensively, I think one thing that he brought was his defensive approach. I didn't realize he was as a good defender as he was with his defensive hands, where he was on the court. His communication skills on the defensive end
More natural for him?
Was natural, very natural. It wasn't something you had to talk about a lot to him. So that was what jumped out at me, more so than we knew he could score, but just his defensive approach.